Does phone flipping still work in 2025? Well, let me go ahead and break down some of my numbers. So I'm recording this the morning of August 28th, 2025. This video will end up coming out a few days after that because I've recorded some other stuff, but I'm sitting at $9,600 in profit, $43,000 in revenue, and I've sold 112 devices. Now, keep in mind, the month isn't over yet. I've still got 15 plus devices in stock, many of which will sell. I've got 10 devices that have been shipped to a direct buyer, around $1,000 in profit that still hasn't gone into my tracking sheet. With that being said, all in all, I'll make probably between $11,000 and $12,000 this month in profit conservatively. And that's a pretty average month for me. Nothing super extraordinary about that. Pretty consistently, month in, month out, I know I can make that almost automatically because of the systems I've built in. But hey, maybe I'm just lucky. So let's go ahead and look at this from more of a global perspective. The used smartphone market size was worth $65 billion in 2021, and it's projected to hit $143.8 billion by 2031. So it's a growing industry. Obviously, I've got a very, very small piece of the pie, and I look to continue to expand that. Translation, more people are buying used and more people are selling phones, more flipping opportunities. So does the market work? Absolutely. The business model does work and it's growing consistently. So it's not something that's going to fall off a cliff or stagnate. It's only going to continue to rise. More people are buying more phones. Of course, as the population goes up, there's more phones to be bought as well. And everyone has a phone, so everyone's a potential customer. You don't even have to get a slice of the pie. With this kind of market share, $143 billion market by 2031, you don't even need a slice. You just need some of the crumbs left over. You're going to do pretty well in this business. Now, a few other cool statistics. The upgrade cycles of the average American is every 2 to 3 years. So you can think about how consistently you can get people to continue selling to you. And that's a pretty conservative estimate as well. Obviously, some people are a little more, some are less, but that's the average. And so that means millions of old devices are hitting the resale market each year. Now, iPhones keep about 50 to 70% of their value even 2 years after release. Samsungs are a little lower than that. But regardless, this creates pretty good arbitrage for flippers, meaning you can have really good margins even years after the device's release. And some cool stats about eBay. Over 16 million smartphones are sold annually on eBay. iPhone is consistently the number one most sold product category in electronics. I make about, depends on the month, but between $70 and $90 for every phone I flip. And I don't sell anywhere near the 16 million. Obviously, I'm a very small fraction of that as well, but you can do the math on what it would take to get to those numbers. And especially seeing I've sold 112 devices so far this month. I'll probably be closer to 140, 150 when it's all said and done. You can just get an idea from that. And trade-in programs as well. So you've got Apple doing a trade-in program now. Carriers like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, they're paying out billions in trade-in credits last year collectively. So carriers are trying to get in on this market. Apple's trying to get on it. They're going crazy. They have a trade-in program now that they've really been pushing. You've probably seen it, probably seen some ad for it. So if carriers are pouring a ton of money marketing into this, obviously there's a huge consumer demand for used devices and not just buying them, but selling them. Because that's really where the money's made for us, is consumers selling us their used electronics. You'll see if you're new to this that selling devices is actually quite easy. It's more about just how many devices you can get your hands on. Now, Eco ATM and Gazelle is another one I included because they're on average about $60 to $100 million in annual revenue and expanding. They've been acquired multiple times by bigger companies. They just continue to keep going up. And you've probably seen these in Walmart. If you're familiar with them, you put your phone in them and you know they usually give you a terrible price for your phone. So naturally, there's a ton of opportunity in this market to compete with a computer that rips you off and is completely impersonal, and Apple trade-in, which is inconvenient because you have to ship things in. The best offers are probably from these carriers because they keep you on, and they can keep you on because you're paying them for a monthly service. I'd say that's the biggest threat and the most competitive one of these three to your business. That being said, there's just so much market share. Again, you just need a small piece of it to have a really, really successful business. And of course, most people look at local phone flippers and think that the other flippers in their area are the competition. And this may be true to an extent, but it's really just a small percent of the market overall. It's usually these big box, big companies that are going to be your biggest competition. And it's very easy to compete with them because, of course, they don't have the personal touch. They give terrible prices and they just can't really compete with what you can offer doing quick cash as opposed to all these hurdles and things you have to jump through. Even Eco ATM, which is marketed as super simple, it's really not that easy. And then a lot of these, Apple, you have to ship. Inconvenient for most people. People just want cash for their old stuff that they're not using, and they want a good price for it as well. And with the business model I teach, you can do both of those. Now, some common misconceptions with the whole phone flipping space. People will say things like, well, I don't know how to repair phones, so this won't work for me. Well, neither do I. I sell broken devices for incredible margins. Consistently been my favorite thing to buy. I don't do any repairs, but I know how to get it in the hands of people who do. And people who do repairs will actually pay a pretty good price for broken phones, at least a lot more than you would think, because they usually have the equipment necessary sitting around. And so they just slap on the new screen because they know how to do it and then ship it out. Or you buy to someone else who's just arbitraging the work, the labor, whatever. The point is you can sell broken devices for a lot more than people think. And so that's why it's not even worth the repairing, in my opinion. And I don't teach people to start learning how to repair. Of course, you can make more money if you want to do that, but that is a bit of a different business model than just straight up flipping phones. You don't worry about repairs. You just buy it, do nothing to it, and just sell it. So that's the model. It's that simple. Another misconception is, well, I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around to start buying phones. Well, my answer to that would be my first flip was something I bought for 60 and sold for 90. I started super small, so I recommend you do the same and slowly snowball your way up. Build your capital. That way you can buy more things. Another one I hear, I'm not tech savvy, so I can't flip phones. You absolutely don't need to be. You just need to learn how to appraise phones and test basic functions. And that can literally be learned in 5 minutes of time. Another one, of course, is the market is too saturated. I won't be able to compete. Well, I just showed you the projections for 2031, as well as my personal earnings. I promise you, I'm not special. Anyone can do this. And I also have videos on the channel documenting me doing it live. Everyone has a phone as well. So that means everyone's a potential customer. And how many businesses can truly say that? Sit there and think about that. Even like McDonald's, you got people like vegans, health conscious people. There's very few businesses out there that can truly say that everyone is a potential customer. So if you're looking to get started as a beginner, what steps should you take? Well, I recommend everyone starts on Facebook Marketplace trying to find phones locally. I think it's just the easiest, lowest barrier to entry possible for this business. First thing you want to do is you want to contact all the local phone listings, even if they're ridiculously overpriced. Just reach out to every single one. When they respond back to you, you want to appraise. So you'll find the exact model on eBay, filter by sold listings. I'll actually demo this for you because I think this is an important demonstration. So let's say there's an iPhone 15 Pro Max unlocked, 256 gigabyte. What I would do is I would just search it on eBay. I would scroll down, filter by sold items. And so I see, okay, 500 here, 500, 500, 500. They're actually going for more than this. You got one here. This is open box condition, pre-owned around 700, good condition, 690, 630, 770, 685. So what I would probably do is I would probably list mine for somewhere in the middle. So I'd look at a few, I'd say, okay, I see a few selling for around 700. I'd put mine up for 700. Obviously, you'd incur some fees. Just for starters on eBay, the fees are going to be worse. But the cool thing is I recommend selling on Marketplace first, so you don't have to deal with those fees. You can figure that out later. I think selling on eBay is much better as you scale up, but that's something you'll get to eventually. If you're a total beginner, I would just list it back on Marketplace, and I would list it for 700. So there's no fees on Marketplace. You're going to have to meet up with someone again, but that's not really too much of an issue, especially if you met up with someone to buy the phone originally. That's a pretty easy thing to figure out. I would list it for 700, so I know, okay, especially for your first flip, I would offer a price you know you can profit on. So just to play it super safe, if I'm seeing 15 Pro Maxes, I'm offering maybe 550 or 600, not taking any risk. Once I meet up, I'd inspect, check the IMEI. There's videos out there on that. I have videos on that. I'm not going to explain it in this video. Make sure it's working properly. If you have a phone, you could probably just understand how to do this from a basic level, but if you want a checklist to go through, again, there's videos out there for that as well. And then, of course, I would imitate what works at a basic level by creating my own trading system. This is actually something I did back when I sold on Facebook Marketplace that worked really well. And I actually have a whole section on selling on Marketplace in the free course on my channel, free 6-hour course. But I'm just going to go over a section of that today. So once you get the phone, you would want to relist it back on Facebook Marketplace. You can go to phoneflippers.com/marketplace-sales if you want to go over this whole document for yourself. Make a copy of it, save it in your drive, whatever. I'm just going to go over the trade-in and listing part. So obviously you'd list what the item is, iPhone 15 Pro Max, iPhone 11, whatever it is that you bought, make a clean looking listing with some solid photos. And then in description, you want to list what it is. And then the key thing here in the description that I always put is I would say trade in your current phone and or any old/used/damaged phones you have for a discount on this phone. And so a lot of people who would normally do this with their carrier, would normally do it with Apple, would throw their old phone in the Eco ATM instead. Well, now they get immediate cash off the new phone they want. And it's a win-win for everybody. And the way you win with trade-ins is you never break even on a trade-in. So let's say you paid $550 for the 15 Pro Max in the example, and you had someone interested for the $700 price point. Well, let's say they had an old iPhone 13. And for simple math's sake, we'll say you can sell that for $200. Well, what I would do is I would give them $100 off. You don't want to give them $200 off because now you bear the burden of having to sell their phone at the same price that you technically bought it for. And so it's unpaid labor for you to give them $200 off for a $200 phone because now you have to do the work to sell it and break even on it. And then maybe you do another trade-in on that one and the cycle continues. So that's just, it's obviously no good. For me, I always like to make at least $50. Typically you can shoot for more than that, but I always feel good about a flip for $50. Anything less than that, I feel like it's not worth the time, especially because it's so thin. You kind of risk if something were to go wrong, then you're looking at losing money. So always give yourself a little bit of margin just in case of worst case scenario. But in that example, I would buy that iPhone 13, or I would knock off no less than $150, no less, or no more rather. Yeah, no more. So I wouldn't knock off more than $150. That's the least I would take is that $50 profit on the 13 as well. Realistically, I'd probably start with saying, yeah, I could probably do $100 off for that. So instead of paying $700, they would give you $600 and their iPhone 13, which you can make another $100 on, or maybe get another trade-in on. So the cycle just continues. And this was something that did really, really well for me at the peak of me selling on Marketplace. This was absolutely crushing for me. And when you've, been on Marketplace a lot, which I have, I saw almost no one doing this. In fact, I saw no one doing this. I was the only one doing this. And so it helped me stand out. People loved it. People liked just getting rid of their old stuff because normally they wouldn't be able to do that or get a good amount of money for it. They'd get Eco ATM price, which is obviously terrible. So this is how you win with trade-ins. It's essentially just you buying another device immediately after selling one. And to put a wrap on this whole thing, I think if you're a total beginner, you should absolutely start with Marketplace. Try these strategies. Trade-ins will help you get more devices. And the biggest thing is just to keep sharpening your skills. So send out more messages, get better at negotiating. I've got videos for all the specifics on that somewhere on my channel, but this is just a good general overview. Yes, phone flipping is not dead. It's an incredible side hustle or business to start. You can take it as far as you want to. It works incredible. It's not that saturated, especially compared to how the market's growing. I'm telling you, if you put in the right systems, you can win easily because there's so much market out there. Everyone has a phone. You can start today. And if you're very interested, I do have a free 6-hour course going over everything you need to know to launch a phone flipping business from 0 to 10K a month on the channel. I'll put it somewhere up here or I'll link it below in the description. Make sure you go check that out. Also have a free community as well if you'd like to surround yourself with some like-minded phone flippers or contact me directly. I'm just here to help. And I thank you guys for watching this video. Hope it was helpful. Leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see. Maybe some things that you're struggling with in your phone flipping journey. And I'd be happy to make a video for you guys to help you on that. So I'll see you in the next one.